In the year 2489, humanity's radio telescopes had gone silent, not because the cosmos was quiet, but because humanity had finally stopped listening. After centuries of false signals, static and hoaxes, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence was abandoned. The last SETI facility, the Kepler array, had been turned into a museum for schoolchildren to stare at dusty antennas and wonder why their ancestors were so obsessed with finding aliens. But one person still listened, not out of duty but obsession. Dr. Elias Wren, an astrophysicist turned exile, had lost everything for his theories. He believed that advanced civilizations wouldn't communicate with radio, light, or mathematics. They would speak through blood, biological resonance, quantum biological signaling through DNA harmonics. His colleagues called it pseudoscience. He called it the call of the living cosmos. For years, he listened through his own bio-linked receiver, built from black market biotech and modified nanofibers that ran through his veins like silver roots. Each night, he tuned his body to the stars. And on the night of the Red Conjunction, when Earth's moon turned crimson and the planet Gliese 712 flickered in the telescope's eye, he heard it. Voice. Soft, feminine, and impossibly ancient. You bleed the way we once did, human. You pulse with hunger as we do. Come to me, and you shall never die. He stared at the monitor, his pulse spiking. The waveform danced like a heartbeat. Then the coordinates appeared, a point beyond the Oort cloud, far beyond where any human vessel had traveled. He knew he couldn't tell anyone. The voice wasn't meant for Earth. It was meant for him. To the journey through the dark sea. Wren sold everything, his research, his patents, his name. Using the alias Pilot VYRN. He boarded a deep space cargo ship, the Revenant, bound for the outer colonies. Hidden in the ship's underdeck was his own vessel, the Nocturne, a one-man quantum drive ship built for speed, not return. 3 months into the voyage, he detached and vanished into the void. The coordinates led him to a region beyond mapped space, a dead nebula blacker than night, where light itself seemed to bend and suffocate. His ship's sensors screamed interference. The energy patterns resembled organic waveforms, as if the nebula were alive. Then the darkness parted. And there it was, a planet orbiting no star, shrouded in auroras of blue fire. Its surface was crystalline, like frozen glass veined with glowing red. The planet pulsed with rhythm, heartbeat. When he descended through the atmosphere, his instruments died. Static filled the cockpit, and the same voice whispered through the air system. Welcome, Elias. I have waited, since your kind first looked at the stars and dreamed. The ship crashed into a valley of obsidian spires. When he awoke, the ground beneath him pulsed faintly. The air was breathable but heavy. It tasted like iron and roses. Shadows moved where light did not reach. He wasn't alone. A figure approached through the red mist, tall, slender, her skin pale like moonstone, her eyes glowing crimson with vertical pupils that shimmered like nebulae. Her hair floated as though underwater. She wore no suit, no armor, only a crown of dark crystal. You came, she said. You heard my heart. Wren stepped back, shaking. Who are you? I am Queen Seraphine of the Nixthari, last of my kind. The galaxy called us vampires once. But we are older than your myths. Her hand brushed his cheek. It was cold, yet somehow vibrant with life. Marry me, human, she whispered, and we shall live forever. 3. The palace beneath the planet's skin. Seraphine led him into the planet itself. Beneath the crust was a city of bone and crystal, its towers built from the remains of creatures larger than any starship. Rivers of liquid light flowed through arteries carved into the stone. Everything pulsed, every wall, every floor, as though the entire world were a single living organism. "We built this world to survive the death of our sun," she told him as they walked. "We fed on starlight, on energy, on the life force of others. We drank the fire of the cosmos itself. But when the stars died, so did we. Only I remain." "Then why call me?" he asked. "Why not let your world die with you?" She smiled sadly. "Because your species burns with youth. Your blood carries the resonance of creation. You can awaken what is left of my people. You can make us one again." Ren hesitated. "You want to use me as fuel." "Not fuel," she said softly. "A partner. A bridge between your kind and mine." She led him into a chamber filled with sarcophagi. Thousands of them, each one containing a sleeping figure like her, motionless but glowing faintly red. The hum of their still hearts echoed through his body. "We slumber in eternity's womb," she said. "We wait for blood that sings. Yours does." His mind spun. This was no delusion. The biological frequencies, the DNA harmonics, everything matched his theory. She wasn't lying. "If I help you," he said, "what happens to me?" "You will be remade. Eternal. Fed by the life of the stars themselves. The first human to ascend. And if I refuse?" Her eyes darkened. "Then you will feed us the old way." 4. The wedding of flesh and starfire. Over the next days or weeks, he couldn't tell, Seraphine showed him the secrets of her kind. They did not consume blood in the way humans imagined. They drank life resonance, the energy that pulsed through all living cells. They absorbed it through nanoscopic tendrils that flowed from their skin, weaving into the flesh of their prey. They called it the embrace. But they were not monsters, not entirely. They only took from those who offered willingly. When he asked her why she called her people vampires, she smiled. "Because your ancestors met us once. Long ago, when your species still lived in caves. We taught you fear and worship." He didn't know if he believed her. But every story, every ancient legend, from Lilith to the pale gods of the dawn, echoed in her eyes. One night, in the cathedral of the heart world, she appeared before him in a gown woven from the light of dying stars. The air thrummed with 1,000 pulses, the beating hearts of her sleeping kin. "Elias Wren," she said, her voice like thunder wrapped in silk. "Do you accept the bond of eternity?" He looked at her. Beautiful, terrible, infinite. Part of him screamed to run. Another part, the part that had spent his life searching for meaning in the void, whispered, "You found her." "I accept," he said. She smiled, truly smiled, and placed her hand over his heart. "Then bleed for me." The pain was exquisite. Her tendrils pierced his chest, weaving through his veins, merging with his cells. His vision exploded in white and red. He saw galaxies collapsing, stars being born, worlds dying, and her face, ageless and calm, watching through them all. He gasped. His body convulsed, then stilled. And when he looked down, his blood no longer looked human. It shimmered like mercury, alive with light. "Now," she whispered, "you are mine." The awakening when he awoke. He no longer felt hunger nor fatigue. His senses stretched across the planet. He could hear the heartbeat of every sleeping Nixthari, feel the slow pulse of the world's molten core. Seraphine stood beside him, radiant. "You are reborn, my beloved, the first of the new blood. Together we will awaken the rest." They entered the chamber of the ancients. She placed her hand over one of the sarcophagi and nodded. "Sing." Ren didn't understand, until instinct took over. He opened his mouth and a sound emerged. Not a human sound, but a resonance that vibrated through every atom of the room. The sarcophagus lit up. The being inside stirred, gasped, and opened its eyes. The queen smiled. It works. One by one they woke the sleepers. The city glowed brighter, the walls pulsing faster, the rivers of light thickening like living veins. He felt their hunger, their power, their minds merging into a collective pulse. And then something changed. The sleepers looked at him, not as kin but as prey. "He is not of us," one hissed. "He carries mortal blood," said another. "He will wither. He will betray." Seraphine raised her hand. "Silence. He is my consort, my equal. He bears the new resonance." But their minds pressed against hers, whispering, doubting. "The human will doom us again." Ren felt it. Their hunger, their resentment, the pull of their ancient instincts. The entire city seemed to close in. "Seraphine," he said, his voice trembling. "What are they saying?" She turned to him, eyes glimmering with something like sorrow. "They remember the last time we trusted a lesser species. What happened? We consumed them." 6. The blood of worlds panic surged through him. The newly awakened Nixthari circled closer. Their eyes burned with crimson fire. The city roared like a heart in convulsion. "Seraphine, stop them." She stepped forward, raising her arms. Energy crackled between her fingers. "He is under my protection." But their hunger had no reason. For eons they had slept, starved, dreaming of the taste of life. Now that they were awake, no queen could contain them. The first one lunged, and Seraphine struck, hurling the creature into a wall of crystal that shattered into luminous shards. "Run!" she screamed. He fled through the corridors as the city erupted behind him. The Nixthari tore at each other, feeding, screaming, their perfect harmony collapsing into chaos. Rivers of light turned red. He reached the surface, gasping, his new blood humming like electricity. His ship, half buried in black glass, flickered to life as he neared. Then the sky split open. Seraphine descended through the storm, her gown torn, her crown broken. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. Desperate, furious, magnificent. "They are lost," she said. "The hunger consumes them. I cannot stop it." "Then come with me," he pleaded. "We can leave this place." She looked toward the horizon, where the city's towers collapsed into fire. "There is nowhere to go. My people's curse is my own. But you are still part human. You can survive beyond this world." She stepped closer, pressing her cold lips to his forehead. "Take my essence. Keep it alive. When your species is ready, when they understand the hunger that binds all life, call me back." He shook his head. "I can't." "You can. You must." She placed her hand on his chest, and he felt her power flood through him. Her memories, her history, her pain. His body convulsed. The mark of her crown burned into his skin. "Goodbye, Elias Wren," she whispered. "My husband, my heart, my curse." And then, with a scream that shook the planet, she unleashed her full power, collapsing the entire world into itself, turning the black crystal into a singularity of light. The Nocturne was hurled into the void, riding the shockwave of a dying world. 7. The last transmission when he awoke, he was adrift near the edge of the solar system. His ship's systems barely functioned, but he was alive. Impossibly perfectly alive. He didn't need food. He didn't need sleep. His veins shimmered like starlight. He recorded his findings into the ship's black box, transmitting it back toward Earth. "This is Elias Wren. Found them, the Nixthari. They were real. They were magnificent. And they're gone now. But one lives within me. She was called Seraphine, the Queen of the Endless Night. If you hear this transmission, if you study my blood, know that she still whispers. He paused, looking into the dark. Somewhere out there, the faint echo of her voice rippled through his mind. Marry me, human, and we shall live forever. He smiled faintly. Already did. He turned the ship toward the stars, toward the next heartbeat in the void. And behind him, in the dying light of a vanished world, a pulse flickered once, faint but unmistakable. The Queen's heartbeat. 8. Epilogue. The new dawn 2 centuries later, a salvage vessel found the Nocturne drifting near the Oort cloud. Inside, the pilot was still seated, perfectly preserved, his eyes faintly glowing crimson. The crew thought him dead until he opened his mouth and whispered, "Is it time?" He smiled, and a pulse rippled through their ship's lights. The captain screamed as her veins lit up like fire. The others tried to flee, but the resonance had already begun. The Queen had kept her promise. The age of human blood was over. The age of the eternal union had begun. And in the static of the ship's last distress call, a woman's voice echoed through space. "Marry me, human, and we shall live forever."